All right, so it is a beautiful day in Pennsylvania, and today is September 21st, 2024. And we're getting into fall season here, and I wanted to do a Halloween themed bonsai, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I was at a local big box store a few weeks ago, and I came across this little fella here. So he's got a little skeleton fella here, and I was like, what can I do with this? And you know what? Let me show you what I'm gonna do with this. So let's get at it. All right, so first let me show you the tree that I'm going to incorporate that little skeleton with. So what we have here is a cutting from one of my acacia trees. This cutting is probably, I only got it, I only cut it like maybe 6 months ago, something like that. So it's a fairly young cutting, and I put it in this small little container here, but it hasn't really grown much because it's in this small little container here. And if you look close at the container that I'm using for this cutting, it's actually a microwavable mac and cheese container that I recycled. And I like to use these little containers because they're really great for starter trees or starter plants if you have a garden. But anyway, I want to take this out of the container here and into something bigger so that it can develop a little bit more and incorporate our little skeleton friend into this. So let's get at it. All right, here we go. So let's start this off by just taking it out of the soil. Oh wow, yeah, we have a decent amount of roots. We got some roots, we got roots going on here. So yeah, I like to use these little containers because they work really well for just starting your cuttings or your seeds or anything like that. So just a nice way to upcycle. So it looks like some of the roots are entangled in this little screen here. So let's see if we can gently get that out. And it looks like we got it out pretty well. So yeah, not a bad little cutting here. I know I said I wasn't going to do any type of root pruning, but you know what? I can't help myself. I'm just going to prune this. I'm just going to prune these a little bit. There we go. All right, that'll be good. So let's just set that to the side. All right, so I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Let me just set that there. So here's our fun little guy here. And the pot that I'm going to use today is this pot right here. So I actually had a yucca tree in this pot. Probably up until a few months ago. So what happened is the yucca tree that I had in this pot actually died. A squirrel got into it. I thought there was maybe a nut or an acorn in there, and it ripped apart my yucca tree and killed it. So had to toss that yucca tree, but now I have this pot available here, and I think it'll kind of work out well with our little skeleton guy here. So we're going to put Mr. Skeleton there, Mrs. Skeleton, we don't know, we're not sure. So we'll have the skeleton there for right now. And my thought for this is actually to take the acacia tree here and to somehow get it inside of his chest right there and have it grow within him. And over the years, maybe it will, I think eventually it will break, but that could be kind of interesting. And we may get some type of, indentation on the trunk here from his rib cage. So yeah, let's try this out. It's just something silly, but I'm sure it'll take a couple years to actually do anything, but we got to start now if we want to do it. So let's do this. So the first thing we got to do is somehow get this into the chest cavity here. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but we're gonna try branches first. Let's see if I can get this through without breaking any branches. So far, so good. Let's see if I can use this chopstick to kind of help guide it up. There we go. All right, I think we made it through. I think we made it through without any casualties. There we go. Now, actually, I also want to see about getting the roots down through here. I should have done this first. Oh boy, interesting view here. There we go. Now, right here, we do have two dead branches that I think we can take off that don't really do much. Oops. There it is there. And then this little bit here. There we go. And I think I might bury him like this at a bit of an angle. So I'm gonna actually start filling this up with some soil just to get it kind of in position. So first, before I do that, I'm going to put my mask on because I don't want to breathe in any of the little particles that I may breathe from the bonsai soil dust. So let's do that. All right, so I'm going to take him out of here and I am going to put my screen in the bottom. And I have a nice long screen here that fits perfectly well in the bottom here. All right, here we go. I think I'm gonna put this rock back here to kind of brace him up a little bit. This is so silly. That's not too bad. I think that'll do for now. Alrighty, so let's get some water on this guy. All right, there we go. All right, so I think that is it for our skeleton acacia bonsai tree. So as you can see, the skeleton is much larger than the tree right now. Hopefully over time that will change and maybe I'll add some more trees. Maybe I will do something different. Maybe this guy's rib cage will break and we will replace him. But either way, I think that's it for this one. Next up, I'm actually going to grab some other acacia trees that I need to prune up as well. So let's go get those. So next up we have this massive acacia tree that I have grown from seed, and you can see that it is getting quite tall, quite tall. I can't even get the whole thing in my frame here. So this is one of I think 3 or 4 acacia trees that I grew from seed in December of 2022. You can see down here, it is in my Lego pot that I created from Legos. I did not glue this, so I could break apart the pieces if I really wanted to. So I've had it outside for the past, ever since the spring, and it's doing great. So what I want to do is trim this up and make it a little bit more compact because winter is coming and got to get these things back inside at some point. So let's prune it up. All right, for this tree, we have about 3 main branches going on here. We have this 1, 2, and 3 right there. This large one right here is the first one that I want to trim off. And I think I want to trim it right about here or maybe even down here. That might be a bit of a risky move, but I think I see a bud right here. So I think I'm going to trim right in between right there. We'll see what happens. All right, here we go. Giant cut. And there it is. Look at all that. Make some more cuttings out of this. So later on, I'll put some rooting hormone on these cuttings and see what happens. Maybe we'll get some more little acacia trees. All right, and here's where we're at with this one. So yeah, as you can see, this branch right here in what might be the front, we're not really considering fronts too much right now. It's still very small, but has quite the eye poker right here. And then on the other side, which also could be the front, has another eye poker right here. So whenever I do a repot on this, I'm going to have to readjust it to maybe somewhere around here-ish. Not too sure. But we're not worrying about that today. But what we are going to do is trim some of these back a little bit. So let's dive in. So looking at this tree, it starts at the base right here, comes up, and then splits into 1, 2, and 3. So we trimmed this one already. That's good to go. I'll trim this one later, but I want to work on this branch right here. So this one comes out and splits into 2 right here, and I think I want to cut this branch back. So we have a bud right here and a bud right there, or what could be a bud. It's just a leaf right now. So I think the safe bet would be to cut this right here. We'll leave her a little room for dieback. There we go. And then we'll move this a little bit over here. So there you see the cut right there. Now let's trim this one back. So we have a little leaf right here, a leaf right here. So I think I want to cut it back right in between this one and this one. So let's do that. There we go. All right, that is looking better. I like that. Yeah. So let's tackle this one right here. So this one starts down here at the base, has a branch that starts pretty low, which is great, and then comes out here and then has another branch that starts out right here. So what I want to do is, I think I want to snip it right about here maybe. I mean, there's a little baby branch here too, but I don't think I want it that far out. There we go. And I'm actually going to snip this branch back a little bit too. And this one, I will snip back to here. All right, and I think that is where we're going to stop today. So normally I would probably take this and cut out one of these branches here, so it would have 1 to 2. So come up and then have 2 branches. It comes up and has 3, but I want to have this one be a little bit different. So I'm just going to keep that 3rd branch right there and see what happens. Oh, last thing I do see is I got to take this little bit off here. And then down here, there's a little stub down here I want to take off. There we go. And way down here, we have this here. All right, now we're good. Now we can go to the next one. All right, and here's another acacia tree that is growing so tall. I can barely even get it in the whole frame again. This one needs another hard prune because there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this inside my house over the winter. Again, this is another one that I grew from seed from December 2022. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I'm curious to see what the branches look like once I get this giant leader out of the way. All right, so here we go. So here's our giant leader. So there is a little bud right here and a little bud here. But I think I'm gonna take it back to the first one. Do a bit of a risky move, but let's just do this. So I'm gonna leave a little room for dieback. There we go. Look at all of that. Another giant branch. So more cuttings potentially. All right, so a bunch of little cuttings here. 4 more cuttings off of just that right there. All right, that's a little bit more of a manageable size for right now. So let's dive in and get a closer look. All right, so if we look down here, we have a little branch down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that right about there. So we have a branch here and a branch here, and then 1, 2, and 3 branches there, then a branch here and there. So we gotta clean this up a little bit. So the first one I know I want to get rid of is this little baby one down here. I don't need that guy. So that's gone. So now that leaves us with these 3. They're all going in the same direction over here. So I think I would definitely want to get rid of the middle one. And maybe even the top one on this side. So we have one going this direction, then we have another one going that direction. And these 2 are not quite bar branches, but I think these 2 are pretty much identical, so I only want to have one or the other. So I'd rather have this one at the bottom than this one up here at the top. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Oops. There we go. Now this one at the bottom comes out a little bit farther than I want it to, so I think I want to prune it back to maybe we have a potential bud here, there, and I think we're going to cut it back to here. Same for this side. We have a little bud that started there and a bud there. So we'll cut this back to here, leaving the safe bet of 2 potential areas that it can branch out. Not sure what I'm doing with this, but I'm going to cut it back to here for now. And this big one up here, I think we can get rid of and cut it back to about here. So looking here, we have 1 to 2, and this dead stub right there, I think I can cut back. Let's get that out of there. And then this actually is a little bit longer than I want, so I'm going to snip that back to here. And this one to here. I'm seeing a lot of buds down here. I think they're dormant buds, so I'm going to take a risk and cut this a little bit lower to here. I think similarly I can cut this back just a little bit too. On this branch I actually see a bud down there that I could probably use, so I have a backup there and here, so I'm going to cut this here, make it even shorter. Clean up this stub, this one too. Clean this up a little bit. And this just a tiny bit. Looking at this branch here, we have a leaflet here, and a leaflet here. I think we can go back even further and cut this to here. I'm just going to clean up this stub here. I'm actually wondering if I just take this one right off because it's pretty close to this right here. I think I'm going to leave it for now. Maybe in the future it'll come off, but I'm going to leave that for now. Yeah, I think we're done with this one today. So definitely a lot better shape than it was earlier. Cut off a lot of foliage, cut off that giant leader, and hopefully it can grow a little bit more in the late fall, and maybe I'll even have a little bit more growth on this one. Who knows? If not, maybe it'll just go into dormancy for the rest of the winter and see what happens. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Got a little skeleton guy, got 2 pruned up acacias. So pretty happy, and I think they'll all be ready to go for the rest of the fall and into the winter, and we'll see what these things look like come spring. So yeah, that's it for today, and thank you for watching.